Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter, Mike Richmond. You're listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and now also on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Help us get to 2,000 subscribers by 2022. We got a little bonus content for you because there's big Blazers news. Damian Lillard is out for at least 10 days and Nassir Little's out for at least a week. Let's unpack quickly what that means for your Portland Trailblazers. Damian Lillard has been dealing with an ab injury basically all year long. And now the Blazers are finally deciding to give their star point guard an extended period of time off. If you're familiar with this show, if you're a longtime listener to the show, like this is something that I kind of, in my non-medical expert opinion, contemplated in early November. Like, does Dame maybe need some rest? Because he hasn't looked like himself. Well, now here we are some 22 games into the season, and the Blazers have decided, yes, it is time to give Damian Lillard some rest. And they announced today that Lillard will be reevaluated in 10 days after an MRI confirmed that he's dealing with this ab injury. He didn't play in Tuesday night's game against the Detroit Pistons, the second night of a back-to-back, and now he's going to miss at least the next 10 days. So that would be, at the earliest, he'll be reevaluated on December 11th, which means he'll miss a home game against the San Antonio Spurs, another home game against the Boston Celtics, and a home game against the Clippers, and then a road game at the Golden State Warriors. Minimum of 4 games before he'll be reevaluated. Following that, the Blazers have 3 days off. They do not play on December 9th, 10th, and 11th. That would allow them, 3 full days at home, 3 full days of not playing basketball, to reevaluate what kind of where Dame's at and whether he can return. There's no guarantee he would return, but after missing those 4 days and then having 3 days off, you would get a chance for him to decide or for the team to decide, medical staff and Dame and his health and all that, to decide together whether he could return on December 12th when the Blazers begin a 4-game homestand against the Minnesota Timberwolves. What does that mean for the Blazers? Well, it means Anthony Simons is very likely to remain as part of the starting lineup. And one of the reasons is because Nassir Little's also out. The Blazers, could slide Norman Powell down to the 2 and start Nassir Little at the 3. But Chauncey Billups has gone with Tony Snell as a starter over Nas as those minutes, trusting the veteran over the Blazers' third-year player. And Nassir Little out for at least a week now. He'll be reevaluated a week after spraining his left ankle against the Utah Jazz. Nassir Little kind of got tripped up in a fast break and then while trying to catch his balance, rolled that left ankle. He showed up to the arena last night on crutches and in a walking boot, and now he is going to miss at least a week with this ankle injury. That leaves the Blazers a little thin. Luckily for them, they've got a team not a ton of wings, but a whole bunch of 6'3" and under guards. So the Blazers won't have trouble filling the other guard spot, but it means more minutes for Anthony Simons. It means more minutes for Dennis Smith Jr. It means an extended and consistent playing time for Tony Snell. And it might mean some more minutes for Ben McLemore, who in his first real rotation minutes last night against the Detroit Pistons scored 17 points in 18 minutes off the bench. The Blazers are not, they're not going to be better without Damian Lillard, but this is the spot in the roster where they have some depth at guard. It's a chance for CJ McCollum to kind of take the reins and prove that he can be the leader of a basketball team. It's a chance for Anthony Simons, who people have been clamoring for a bigger role and more minutes and more responsibility, to get that role, get those minutes and get the responsibility and run with it. And it's a chance for vets like Ben McLemore and Dennis Smith Jr. and Tony Snell to prove they can sort of fill in. In general, you want Damian Lillard to be ready in January and February. If you have to sacrifice 10, 12, 15 days in December to make sure his body gets right for the second half of the season, you have to do it. There just haven't been enough games this year where Damian Lillard looks like Damian Lillard. You've basically had these little brief moments where we say, okay, maybe, and you start to try to talk yourself into some optimism. But then there's nights like against the Utah Jazz in Salt Lake City, the last game he played, where he just looked like he wasn't moving. And some of it felt like he maybe just didn't have, wasn't into it. But I think there's got to be some physical limitations that are limiting what he can do out there. And now the Blazers are giving him 10 full days and Nassir Little with this ankle injury, another little bit of time off. So this is the short-term impact is more more Snell, a whole bunch more Anthony Simons, and maybe a little bit more Ben McLemore. And the long-term impact is that hopefully with 10 days off to get his ab right, get his abdominal muscle right, that you get the best version of Damian Lillard again, because that player hasn't been on the roster. And the Blazers' future and their chances this season depend on getting that version of Damian Lillard on the roster. So 10 days, the Blazers will play at least four games without Dame, 5 total, including the game against the Pistons. Very likely that Nassir Little misses. Nas would miss at a minimum those 4 games against the Spurs, Celtics, Clips, and Warriors. Like I said, the 3 days off gives the Blazers a little leeway for each of them to get back. But it sounds like based on the press releases announced by the Blazers today that Nassir Little is likely to be back before Damian Lillard, who could miss more time after that December 11th reevaluation date. So 10 days for the Blazers to play 4 games. I would say other than the Warriors game, 3 winnable home games against the Spurs, Celtics, and Clippers, and then a very tough game in Golden State. You want to tread water. They've been treading water with Dame on the court. If they can tread water with him out on the court, they can still be in the position, not maybe they want to be in, but not in a terrible position when he's able to return. And if he's able to return at full strength, this seems like a very worthwhile 10-day experiment. That's what we got for you on the injury front. Tell your friends to listen to the podcast. Thanks for listening. Talk to you soon.